Record Store Nation, what is going on? Welcome to the April episode of the Record Store. We like to call it TRS. I don't know if everybody else calls it that, but we call it TRS because, we're insiders. So, this is episode 56. Can you believe that? We've been doing this so many, 2, 3 years, something like that. Man, I enjoy doing this. I love talking about music. I love interacting with people on X. I was about to call it Twitter. Sorry, my bad. Dog. I was about to call it Twitter. I think we all still pretty much friggin' call it Twitter, so whatever. X. But I love to interact with people on X about music. And so there's a number of different Twitter sites where I go to learn about music. A guy last night, Mike's Record Stores, I think that's his, Mike's Record Collection, something like that. Anyway, look him up. Anyway, last night he tweeted about a fringe member of Kiss having a solo album, Eric Carr, and I think he's dearly departed. I don't know enough about Kiss to know that, but I'm pretty sure he's passed away. Anyway, so this Eric Carr had a solo album, and it looked just like the original Kiss solo albums that they did back in the day, where it was the huge money grab where you had Ace and Paul, and Gene Simmons, and who am I leaving out? Peter Criss. In doing the individual face paint on the album cover, and there were varying degrees. Some of those albums were good, some of them were pretty bad. But anyway, so this Eric Carr, who was a member of Kiss after a while, also did a solo album, I guess, and used a very similar album cover artwork style that I had never seen before. So now I'm intrigued by this. I have to look for it, see if I can find it. There's probably got to be somewhere on eBay or somewhere where I can find that album and see how it is. So he said it was okay. There were some highlights and some lowlights. But anyway, that's somebody else's show. So let's talk about TRS. So this is the show where I randomly grab a CD off of the giant wall of CDs. And before I tell you which CD I grabbed today, I do have to thank our house band, Bibbles and Kits, that played us in for this show, this episode. So thank you so much, Bibbles and Kits. Love those guys. They've been around forever. Now, I know at this point there's only one of the original members, but, they still call themselves Bibbles and Kits, so that's fine. Fine by me. They still sound good. They got a bunch of session guys that play the original song, so good stuff, and of course a great intro to the episode. So thank you so much, Bibbles and Kits. B and K, insiders, we call them B and K. Anyway, all right, so you know the deal. We grab an album from the wall, and it can be something that is brand new. It can be something that I haven't listened to in forever, which is pretty much this one. Or it could be something that, believe it or not, I am such an album collector. There are things on the wall that I've never listened to. And so that was kind of what inspired this show to start, because I'm like, I have to come up with a way to listen to all these albums. I have thousands of CDs, and I'm like, there's some of them that I've never even listened to, which makes absolutely no sense. I was so into that band at one point in my life that I bought the CD, and yet I never even opened it. So anyway, this is not one of those. This is an album that I listened to many times because I really love these guys. So the album is called Utopia. The band is also called Utopia, so I guess it would be self-titled, as the cool people like to say. So Todd Rundgren is the founder of Utopia, and Todd Rundgren, to me, one of the most wildly underrated guys in rock and roll history, as well as Utopia themselves as a band. Just such a great, great band. And Todd Rundgren, so talented, just incredible. Utopia, if you don't know, Todd Rundgren, you probably know Todd Rundgren, and you know some of his big hits over the years. But you may not know that much about Utopia because they never really had too many breakthrough hits. They were a great pop rock band in the 80s. They started as kind of more progressive, and they kind of veered towards pop and rock as they went on. They were together for about 10 years. And just everything I ever heard from those guys, I just really, really liked it. I discovered them in high school. One of my best friends, Carrie Nathanson, and I discovered them in high school and just loved them. And, there were so many other bands that were so hot at the time, like REO Speedwagon and Journey and Styx and even Led Zeppelin. There were Pink Floyd. There were so many huge, huge bands that they just highly overshadowed a band like Utopia being out at the same time. But just incredible music and just such great harmonies. That's one thing that I'm going to say throughout this whole episode. is the harmonies. And Todd Rundgren himself, just an incredibly talented dude. He is about 74, I believe, right now. He seems like he's been around forever. I mean, I remember, like I said, I discovered him early 80s, even late 70s, I think. And he's been around forever. He's worked with a who's who in rock. So in some of the names that he worked with, Badfinger, I mean, just the fact that he worked with Badfinger, it seems like they haven't even been a thing since the late 60s. Meatloaf, he was very much present on Bat Out of Hell. So Badfinger, Meatloaf, Hall & Oates, The Tubes, and even Cheap Trick. He produced an album with Cheap Trick. So he put together the Cars when they did the new Cars project after Rick Ocasek and Benjamin Orr had passed away. They did that new Cars project where they did one album in 2006. And it was Todd Rundgren, rather, that was behind all that with Kasim Sultan. So who he's worked with on and off forever as well. So Todd Rundgren just has his hands in so much cool stuff. So he's had a great solo career. There were, like I said, there was 10 albums with Utopia. They were together from 74 to 85. And Todd Rundgren himself has done well over dozens. I can easily say dozens of solo albums. As recently as 2022, I think was his last album. So, I mean, very recent and very productive and still going and still touring and still doing a lot of stuff. I definitely, the next time Todd Rundgren comes around, whether it's him solo, his band, I've seen them a number of times. I actually got to see Utopia back in the day at the Late Great Poplar Creek was the name of the concert facility. It was an outdoor facility just outside of Chicago. One of my absolute all-time favorite venues to see a concert. Just a great outdoor pavilion type deal. And got to see Utopia there with the aforementioned Carrie Nathanson when we were in high school. So it was a great, great show. He's, like I said, he's had dozens of albums himself, as well as the 10 albums with Utopia. So the thing that stands out about these guys, they're very quirky, very adventurous, very progressive style. I always thought Todd Rundgren himself was always ahead of the curve. He always seemed to be into technological stuff that other artists eventually got into. He always seemed to be on the cutting edge of different technologies in rock and recording. Primary members of Utopia were Todd himself, Kasim Sultan, who was the bass player, Willie Wilcox, and Roger Powell. They all four sang. Only really one of them had like a very unique voice, I guess I would say. Willie Wilcox had a very unique voice. And I thought the other guys, actually, as much as I love Todd Rundgren and Kasim Sultan, they have been accused of sounding very similar. So often you can't tell which one of the two of them is singing because their voices are actually very similar. So all four of them sang on this album, as they pretty much did throughout their career. They had done various projects after they broke up. It seemed like the breakup in 85 was pretty amicable because I feel like they just kind of moved in different directions. They resumed. They did some reunion type stuff with like 3 out of the 4 of them and stuff. At one point, Kasim Sultan put together Kasim Sultan's Utopia. Originally, they were Todd Rundgren's Utopia. Then they just dropped the Todd name out of that, so they were just Utopia. So they did one reunion bit where it was Kasim Sultan's Utopia, so that was a thing. And then they got back together again with 3 out of the 4. So they've done, like I said, different permutations, and then the two of them worked together on the Cars project and so on. So this one, self-titled Utopia, is their 7th album, came out in 1982. It is 54 minutes long. There were 2 singles on it, Feet Don't Fail Me Now and Hammer in My Heart. Again, they're not a household word, not at all a household word. Whereas Todd Rundgren, I think most people know who he is. But maybe can't name maybe 2 or 3 songs of his. Hello, It's Me is probably the most famous, just off the top of my head. So this album hit number 84 on the U.S. charts. Didn't have much of a charting history anywhere else. I will say Utopia is a total cult following band. A cult band for sure. But I love these guys. I wish there was more. I'm going to go back. There's definitely a handful of the albums that I don't have of the 10 that they recorded. But the ones that I have, I just always remember so fondly. There's just so much great music on these albums, and they're loaded. This album alone, 16 songs. So we're going to get right to it. The album package, no lyrics. Thanks, Todd. No frills to the package, just a picture of them on the cover. Kind of Beatles-esque looking picture of them on the cover. There's nothing inside, and the CD opens up, and there's really nothing inside, just the credits. Not even any thank yous. I would have liked a thank you or two, you know. But anyway, so Todd, not much on the packaging, at least on this one. So we start out with, like I said, 16 songs. So it is a sort of a bonus edition. There was all kinds of... I know back in the day I had the vinyl of this. I don't think I still have it. But in doing the research, it said that there were 3 sides to this album in vinyl. And I'm like, how the hell are there 3 sides? You know? So I'm like... So there was the original album with side 1, side 2, and then I guess there was a second disc that had a blank side to it or something. I honestly don't remember that, but the second disc had like 5 more songs on it, so that's how it ended up being at 16 songs. So just really odd. So this is the CD version of it, which I had too. Which has the EP that was part of the original package, as well as a bonus song, dance version of one of the songs on the album. So Hammer in My Heart, as a matter of fact, one of the singles. So, all right, like I said, 16 songs, so we're going to get right to it. First song is called Libertine. It is a Kazim Sultan song. Starts the album. A great funky beat to this song, really good opener. It is a cautionary tale to stay away from this girl, this libertine girl. Stay away. So immediately the harmonies like pull you into this because, like I said, the two of them, especially Todd Rundgren and Kazim Sultan, sound just amazing together. And I don't know how much of that is like them actually sounding amazing together and how much of it is Todd Rundgren's just masterful production. But they just sound, their harmonies are just incredible, and they always have been with Utopia. So anyway, this Libertine, you know, it's a cautionary tale, stay away. But despite the warnings, he went after Libertine. And it turned out that she was married. And yes, he gets burned by Libertine. So it's a fun song to start the album. And it definitely starts a message, I guess you'll say, throughout this. It starts a message in all of these songs. And you'll see as we get into it more so, you'll see what the message ends up being. So, all right. Actually, a really good song to open the album. So, really love that song. Bad Little Actress is the second song. This is a Todd Rundgren vocal. The music on this actually sounds like very early Todd solo stuff. Like I said, from the Hello, It's Me era of Todd Rundgren stuff. A very poppy, very pleasant song. And it's literally, the name of the song is Bad Little Actress, and it's literally about a bad actress in a stage play. He's singing about how much he's hating this show, and he's barely able to sit through this show. So a lot of things about Utopia are quirky. I will definitely say that. Each album had different themes, I guess, and there was definitely this one, the whole album, there's like quirky messages coming through all these songs. So Bad Little Actress, really good song by Todd, second cut. So third song is called Feet Don't Fail Me Now. It, again, quirky. That is the theme that we're going to get to. That's one of the two themes about this album, is that it's quirky. It has like a very kind of, even though there's some music to the open, it sounds very a cappella-ish on the open. There's Mounier making a cameo appearance, Munieka, today going to the vet for her annual checkup. You know, she's 16. Can you believe that? Anyway, but going for her annual checkup. So I think she knows, and she's kind of concerned about that. Anyway, she says hello. So Feet Don't Fail Me Now, kind of, like I said, an a cappella-ish open, kind of a doo-wop, kind of 50s kind of vibe to it with the hand clapping throughout this song. So it is the message of a guy getting the boot from his wife and having to come to grips with that and having to accept that. But he doesn't want to accept it, and his feet will not literally carry him out the door. So Feet Don't Fail Me Now that's the message there, is that the feet are failing him because the wife is kicking him out and he won't leave. This is a Roger Powell song. This is the keyboardist. He gets a couple songs. You know, it's like those bands like, oh, who is it? There's a number of them where the drummer gets a song, you know, like Ringo always got a song, you know, and the bass player in REO Speedwagon always got a song. Bruce Hall would always get a song, you know, John Entwistle would get a song, maybe two from The Who. So anyway, so Roger Powell gets the song here. I feel like the other two guys, Powell, the keyboardist, and Willie Wilcox, the drummer, they each got kind of they threw him a bone every once in a while, and they let Chasm and Todd do the heavy lifting. But these guys got some songs too. This was Roger Powell's song. He has a very distinct voice. Him and Wilcox both have more of a distinct voice, so you can kind of tell them apart from the other two. So Feet Don't Fail Me Now, quirky, cool song at number 3. Fourth song is called Neck On Up. And this is a Willie Wilcox song, the drummer. Very upbeat start to the song, a very breezy, pleasant song. Fun, definitely a fun song. I liked Neck On Up. It is a guy admitting that he was nothing but into looks and bodies of girls for the most part of his life, but now he's grown up and he wants a girl with a brain. So very admirable, the guy's grown up, so good for him. So he says he's looking for a girl that's better from the neck on up. So that's the meaning of the title. So in fact, one of the favorite lines in here is, "You're a perfect 11 from the neck on up." So it's like this guy's growing up. He's no longer just into bodies and looks, and he wants a girl that is an intellectual and that can keep his interest that way. So it's a really sweet message wrapped up in a quirky song. So I really enjoyed Neck On Up and Willie Wilcox's voice because it's different from the other guys too. So, all right, fifth song is called Say Yeah. It is a duet, I guess you'd call it. It's Todd and Chasm together. Definitely a Beatles vibe to open the song. Definitely had a very Beatlesy vibe to it. And you can tell over the years, here and there, it's not constant, the Beatles influence with Todd, but it's there. You can tell that Todd is definitely in awe of the Beatles. So, and I'm sure all these guys were, as we all should be, in awe of the Beatles. So anyway, in the song Say Yeah, the guy calls a meeting. It's very much like a work tale, where he's talking about calling a meeting. But the meeting is not in a boardroom. The meeting is with his girl. But he presents this as like a formal sit-down meeting, but it's with his girl. So he's basically complaining that their relationship is stagnant, it's not progressing, it's not moving forward. I thought it was very clever. It was really well written and very clever because it takes that relationship saga, I guess, and puts it into that setting of the boardroom and the meeting, the very formal meeting. So I thought it was really clever, enjoyed it. And I think that Todd and Chasm Sultan sound so good together. Their voices, like I said, it's not at all meant as a criticism. It's simply that their voices do sound very similar. And honestly, there's times where you cannot tell them apart. And probably that's part of why they sound so good together, is because their harmonies just are perfect complements for each other. So Say Yeah, really good song, really creative. All right, sixth song is called Call It What You Will. This is a Chasm Sultan song. It has this immediate, fun 80s kind of beat to it as it opens. It definitely has like a dance groove. I would dare call it disco. This was, mid 80s? So I'm thinking this is coming off of, or 82, early 80s. This is coming out of the disco era, I would say. And so that's definitely kind of an influence here. Anyway, and so Call It What You Will, the guy is telling her that he will buy a lot of her BS, but don't call what we have love, because it ain't love. And so, again, kind of, as we've had in a couple of these songs, a bitter message wrapped up in this peppy, perky pop song, Again, beautiful harmonies, beautiful production. That just such a forte of Todd Rundgren. Go back and listen to Bat Out of Hell, and you'll see how much I appreciate Todd Rundgren for that effort alone, let alone his stuff, his solo stuff, and the stuff he's done here with Utopia. Just such an uber talented guy. So anyway, Call It What You Will. The other theme that I was talking about at the beginning of the episode is the fact that in some of these songs, they're taking a not necessarily a good message, and they're turning it into this very positive sounding, peppy, perky, energetic song. So definitely a theme throughout this. The quirkiness for sure, and the creativity of the lyrics for sure. But also a number of these songs are like, I would dare say bitter, but yet they're all in these perky pop songs. So it's a really interesting dichotomy there. So, all right, seventh song is called I'm Looking at You, But I'm Talking to Myself. I believe that might be the longest song title ever. It is a Todd Rundgren song. It reminded me of Frosted Mini Wheats with a touch of fruit in the middle. That was the longest name of a cereal I've ever seen. So anyway, I'm looking at you, but I'm talking to myself is the name of the song. It just has this grand ballad opening sound to it. Just immediately this majestic sound. Just this piano, just incredible open to this song. Really, really gets you right away. And I will say this song is truly gorgeous. This is like Todd Rundgren at his finest, like I said. Hello, it's me. And so that era of great Todd Rundgren stuff, this fits in right with it. This song, I'm looking at you, I'll just shorten it to that. I'm looking at you, should have been a radio hit, should have been a staple on radio. And again, within this beautiful music, the story of it is this couple that has grown distant to each other. Each one has become very self-centered. They're sadly moving apart. But just perfect production, perfect harmonies. I would say if anybody ever asked me to play a song that is like prototypical Utopia, this would be the song I would play for them. I'm looking at you, but I'm talking to myself. Just a gorgeous effort by Todd Rundgren and Utopia. So, all right, we're ready to flip the album. We're going to side 2. And with that, of course, we are going to pay some bills. And we will be right back with side 2 of Utopia by Utopia, the self-titled album. And we'll be right back after these kind words from our sponsors. Stay with us, guys. We'll be right back on the Record Store. Record Store Nation, welcome back. We're here for side 2 of Utopia by Utopia. It is their 7th album, and before we get too far into it, I just want to say thank you to our sponsors. Thank you again to Bibbles and Kits for playing us back in again. So, Utopia, just an incredible band, incredibly underrated. You may have heard the name. I'm pretty sure you've heard the name Todd Rundgren, but you may not have heard of one of his main bands that he had in his career. Utopia, just fantastic band, and we're in the midst of this really good album so far. So we're joining back up again, and it is side 2. We're starting with the 8th track on the album. It is Hammer in My Heart, one of the 2 singles from this album. It's a Todd Rundgren song. It's the 2nd single that was released. They're back with a heavy drum beat here, and definitely a heavy dance vibe, I thought, from this song. Coming off of the last song that we had, which was more the ballad. So this one definitely more of a heavy drum beat, heavy dance sound to it. It shows these guys' versatility, just very versatile, very cool. They have such just great different types of music that they've done. The couple albums before this, they were very much more progressive, like, I don't want to say Moody Blues-ish, but it was definitely more of that progressive style like that. I really like the speed of the playing on Hammer in My Heart. It's just a very fast-paced song. There's something... this is going to get like some weird thoughts and some weird responses, but there's something oddly latter-day Led Zeppelin-ish about this song, about the music on this song. So there's just something, like I said, like In Through the Outdoor, like latter-day Led Zeppelin, like late-stage Led Zeppelin sound to Hammer in My Heart. If you listen to it and you listen to it back to back with some old, or not old, new-ish